I think Sherrone Moore really messed up Michigan's quarterback situation. So what now? I'll tell you. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Sherrone Moore may have really messed up the Michigan quarterback situation. Plus, we'll have running back updates on other Big Ten teams. One running back is leaving. Who's going to be? And one is injured. Plus, Indiana, some big noon love, and Tuesday tweets. Stay tuned for that. I think Sherrone Moore completely messed up Michigan's quarterback situation going into this season, and they're going to continue to pay for that mistake. And by the way, I like Sherrone Moore. I like all the Big Ten coaches. I want to root for them all to succeed. But Moore made mistakes on two fronts. First, the second that JJ McCarthy announced that he was turning pro, Michigan should have started aggressively shopping in the transfer portal for a replacement quarterback, and they did not do that. They seem to have too much loyalty to the guys that were there already. You know, Alex Orji and Davis Warren. And they got the benefit of the doubt, those guys did, because Michigan places a great deal of value on their culture inside the football program. All right, you're already there. You're a guy. You're already bled, sweat, tears, all that stuff. You're going to get your first crack at it before we bring in an outsider. When you go 15-0 and win a national championship, you talk all the time about culture and doing things a certain way, and the Michigan way. And this is how Michigan will do it. It can't be this good anywhere else, and so on and so on. You can get drunk on that, actually, right? You can get used to it. It can be a little misleading, give you a false sense of comfort. It allows you to think you can just bring the next guy up, put him on the field, and you'll be good to go because the culture is there. To an extent, that could be the case. But you know what beats culture? Talent. Talent beats culture, in particular, talent at quarterback. And if Sherrone Moore and Michigan were so sure going into spring ball and fall camp that Alex Orji was going to be the next man up, then why didn't he start the first 3 games of the season? I know. They probably saw what you and I saw and knew we were going to see. And the answer is simple when you look at Alex Orji. He has trouble reading defenses. He's a beat too slow and putting the ball where it needs to be. Analysts will tell you his throwing motion and his footwork are fine. He has good arm strength. He's a tremendous athlete. He just doesn't pull the trigger and throw it when he needs to quickly enough. He can run with the ball. Again, tremendous athlete. But when everybody in the stadium knows that you're probably not going to go make a 15-yard pass when you need one and instead run the ball, it makes the defense's job a lot easier to defend Michigan. I mean, you have to at least make the defense think there's a possibility that you're going to pass on them so they can, play honest. Sherrone Moore knows this. Even if we would like to run the ball every play of the game, which he would, just look back at the Penn State game when he was in charge last year. I know JJ McCarthy was a bit dinged up too, but the reason he started Warren at quarterback to start the season, and from what I saw in the spring game, Warren was the best available passer on the team. Jack Tuttle was hurt at the time, but he was too inconsistent when the season started, and he threw too many interceptions. So I'm going to go back to Orji. Sherrone Moore should have started Tuttle about 2 weeks ago. He's been healthy. He's been dressed for the games, just not active. Sherrone Moore said he was just waiting for the right time to put him in. What? What are you talking about? You got a healthy quarterback. He's got the green light from doctors, and you're waiting to fall down 14-0 at Washington before you say, all right, this is the situation. Go in there, see what you can do. In fairness, statistically, It's not like he lit it up for Michigan against Washington. Talking about Tuttle. He was 10 of 18 for 98 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But Tuttle did something that had been lacking all season long in the Michigan offense. He moved the ball and got them into a rhythm and got some consistency going. 3 straight scoring drives when he came into the game. Eventually got him the lead. He made everyone around him better. Michigan looked better for the first time all year offensively. They looked like Michigan offense. I mean, they look normal, right? I mean, there's always been something missing. Everything's been a fight. Everything's been a battle up to this point. They started to just move the ball. Looked a little more effortless, if you will. The defense had to respect the pass. Therefore, the running game was working. Donovan Edwards had his best game of the year. He rushed for 95 yards and a 39-yard touchdown in the game. Although his best game last year was also against Washington. I think he just has the thing for playing against the team in purple. But anyway, he looked good. Things were looking good. Now, you might say, look, Tuttle had 2 turnovers in the game. What are you talking about? You can't have that. And you're right. I mean, that's why Davis Warren got benched, right? But I would argue the turnovers were a little bit related to rust. I don't want to make excuses for him, it sounds like I am. It sounds like I am. But when he fumbled that ball when he was hit, that wasn't a tremendous hit, but that was a hit that he wasn't used to taking. He hasn't played in a year. And you get hit that first time or two, you're just going to react differently till you get used to it a little bit. I think had he been playing, he wouldn't have fumbled that ball. That thing would have been tucked and he'd been good to go. And, I'm not so sure that Russ didn't play a role in the interception that he threw as well. So we'll see. But had Moore put Tuttle in earlier, a game or two earlier, wouldn't have been as much rust. He'd be used to taking some hits, and maybe we'd have a different result coming out of the Washington game. And by the way, I don't want to take any credit away from Washington. That was a good team. That was a great atmosphere and a great day for college football out there, and a rematch of the national championship. Now, Monday, Moore talked to the media, and he said that Tuttle wasn't cleared until a week ago to play. So maybe he could have only played 1 game before, although it's a bit of a different story than we got from the NBC broadcasters of the Michigan game. So I don't know. I think Tuttle's been available for a couple of weeks. I know he's been dressing on the sidelines for a couple of weeks now. I'm not sure what the future holds for Warren or OG or 7-year player Jack Tuttle. I know will be gone. He's out of eligibility. There's Jaden Davis, of course, the 4-star recruit who's on the team now as a freshman. I would not suggest using him at all this year. I would go back to Tuttle. And you can have Jaden Davis ready to go next year as a sophomore. In 2025, I think the pipeline looks good. I give Sherrone Moore and company credit. They've been recruiting well. 4-star 2025 class, Carter Smith from Bishop Verot in Southwest Florida. He's ready to go. 2026, a year after that, you got 4-star Brady Hart, also from Florida. So the pipeline at quarterback is good. It was good the past couple of years with JJ McCarthy. Got a Band-Aid here. Got to fix the gap this year. And I don't know that Sherrone Moore has handled this in the right order with the right guy at the right time, and obviously didn't bring a transfer in either to compete for that job. But like I said, moving forward, I'd start Tuttle the rest of the season based on his ability to move the offense. I'd bring Orji in as a change of pace guy like he was used last year with JJ McCarthy. And again, I clearly look at Moore and say, man, you didn't get a transfer in this year. Kind of like exactly what Ohio State did. They got Will Howard, and he's only going to be there for 1 year until they hand it off to one of the younger guys ready to go. It's exactly what Michigan should have done this year, and they didn't. So, and then the problem got compounded by, I think the rotation was off. Whether it is Davis Warren, Alex Orji, when was Tuttle really available? I think we could have seen Tuttle in there earlier than we did, was my whole point to that. The Wolverines are now on a bye week. They've got Illinois coming up, ranked Illinois. They're both barely hanging on to the rankings in the top 25. It feels like Illinois has a little more momentum right now. This will be the 100th meeting between those two schools. But a bye week, Michigan's got a week to figure this out and maybe get something better going in the passing game. I know I'm going to hear from you guys, you Michigan fans out there. I know you all have opinions on what Sherrone Moore should have done or should do moving forward. Bring it on. Hit me up with the comments on YouTube. Always love it. Or on Twitter as well at Talk Big Ten. One programming note coming up this weekend is like the game of the year. 2 top 3 teams in the Big Ten, top 3 in the country. Oregon at number 3, hosting number 2 Ohio State. It's going to give us a good look and insight as to who's going to have a leg up and get into the Big Ten championship game. That game is Saturday night, 7:30 NBC. You know the drill by now. If you're an everydayer here, we're going to go live right after that game right here on our YouTube channel, Locked On Big Ten. Anticipating around 10:45 Eastern, maybe 11 p.m. Or maybe 8 p.m. Pacific time, 7:45 Pacific. So we'll be on. We'll be looking for your comments. You'll be looking for my reaction. It's going to be a great time. It's going to be a huge game. We've been looking forward to this one all summer long. So right after Ohio State at Oregon, we're going live here on Locked On Big Ten. If you haven't yet, I'd like to ask you to subscribe because it's free. Subscribe, and then we're in the same loop every day, and you'll be aware of when our podcasts come out every single day. We're ready to go. We're here for you. Subscribe and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten for free. Wherever you get your podcast, that way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right, got some running back news. I've got one injury report and one person hitting the transfer portal. Whose team is that? We'll check that out coming up in just a minute. IU is going to get a little big noon love on Fox. All that coming up. And our Tuesday tweets right around the corner. Hang on for that. Got some great ones again right here on Locked On Big Ten. All right, it's time for our Roy Player of the Week. This week, we're going to show some love to Indiana quarterback Curtis Rourke, 6-0, threw for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns against Northwestern this past week. Of course, Roy is the ultimate platform where you get to directly support your favorite athletes. You can download Roy on iOS or Google Play in the Google Play Store. No middleman, no collective making the decisions for you with nil or anything like that. You decide who gets your financial backing. It's just as easy as a few clicks. Best part of it with Roy, you know exactly where your money is going. Roy gives you the power to decide who gets your support. Time to put your money where your mouth is. Every contribution for fans like us helps keep athletes committed to the team. And if they decide to transfer, you get your money back. How about that? How's that for transparency? So what are you waiting for? Download the Roy app today and make your contribution. Not only are you supporting the athlete's journey, but you're also helping keep your team strong for the next season. Remember, if they stay, you win. If they leave, no worries. You get your cash back. That wraps up our Roy Player of the Week segment. Again, Curtis Rourke from IU. Don't forget, if you want to support more athletes to be part of their success stories, Roy is the way to go. Keep those contributions coming in, and let's change the game with Roy. Thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. Always appreciate you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. Also, want to invite you to check out our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. Plus, you can buy merchandise, shirts, hats, T-shirts with your team's logos on it. All right there. Talkbig10.com. All right, let's get serious with the running back news out there. Penn State. Nick Singleton was a surprise scratch from the Nittany Lions win over UCLA right before kickoff. James Franklin's typically not very open about injury updates with his players unless it's about like a season-ending injury or something. But he did say that Singleton should play against the USC Trojans this week. He did admit he thought Singleton was going to play this past weekend. Now, he had been out nursing an injury from the Illinois game, pretty physical game in which he was a key part of that win. And they held him out on Wednesday. He was a limited participant Thursday and Friday. Franklin thought he was going to play, but I guess it was a last-second decision. He wasn't going to go play. But he's indicated he thinks he'll play against USC. That Penn State-USC game will be at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on CBS. People are still buzzing about Minnesota's upset win over then number 11 ranked USC on Saturday night. And the loss knocked the Trojans completely out of the top 25. While it was a much-needed marquee win for PJ Fleck and his team, and after the game, Fleck took time in his post-game press conference to honor a guest of his who was there. It was former 49ers head coach Mike Nolan. Remember him? Nolan coached Fleck for 2 seasons. PJ Fleck played in the NFL. I don't know if a lot of you know that. He was an undrafted free agent with the 49ers for a couple of receiver, I believe. He said Nolan was the one that influenced him into getting into coaching. It all came on a day in 2006 when Nolan called him in. Hey, bring your playbook. I got to cut you. You're really not happening here. But going to encourage you to get into coaching. I think you'd be a good coach. And in fact, I'll even offer you a job on my 49ers staff right now, right then. Not bad. As it turns out, PJ did not take that job. He did get into coaching. He took a job at Ohio State, but he credits Nolan for giving him the encouragement and making him. He said if he hadn't cut him and talked to him about coaching right then and there, in that pivotal moment of his life, he might not have gotten into coaching. So that's a pretty cool story. And he wanted to give him a shout out at his press conference after maybe his biggest regular season win ever, beating USC. While we have a huge Big Ten football weekend this weekend, the following week, we got a matchup between Indiana and Nebraska. That's October 19th. The game's so big, that's going to be the big noon kickoff game on Fox. Fox may even bring its own big noon kickoff show there to Bloomington for the second time in 3 years. Plus, it's homecoming weekend for the Hoosiers. Hoosier hysteria starts that weekend for the start of basketball season. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Both teams are coming off a bye to get ready for each other, so that's good, rested and well prepared. Indiana is 6-0 heading into that game, 18th in the country in the rankings. Nebraska is 5-1. All right, I told you there was another running back in the news. The Iowa Hawkeyes are facing some defections. First of all, senior running back LaShawn Williams and also junior wide receiver Caleb Brown. They've left the team, and they say they will enter the transfer portal in December. Williams is interesting because he led the team in rushing attempts last year in 2023. But, and that was the year they made it to the Big Ten championship game. He was the key cog in that wheel because, you know, they weren't throwing the ball. Just 11 carries this year for 21 yards. It's probably because Iowa's going a different direction at running back and they're killing it. Caleb Johnson is fantastic. 771 yards so far this year, 97 carries. That's an average of 7.9 yards per carry. That's awesome. He's also scored 10 touchdowns already this year. He's a machine near the goal line. So some changes with the Iowa Hawkeyes. All right. I want to tell you, we got Tuesday tweets coming up. It's always one of my favorite segments. There's always some good stuff out there. Send me a tweet once in a while at Twitter, at Talk Big Ten. And if you're creative enough, I'll use it here on this Tuesday segment. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes fun sports even more fun. It's great. In fact, if you're an NFL fan, you can start the rest of this season here with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you just place your bets. Even if it's in-game. You're like, you know what? Let's check this out. Boom. Even if the game's underway. You get started with $200 of bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com, America's #1 sports book. Already looking ahead to Thursday night NFL football. It's the 49ers and the Seahawks. Seahawks looked tired last week, and now they've been going all across the country. And now they got a short week with a Thursday night game, but at least they're home. 49ers coming in there. I'm gonna throw you a pivot here. The 49ers and the Seahawks this past week, they both lost. They both only score in the 20s. Score. They just didn't last week. Vegas knows that when they set the odds. Going to take the over, 47.5, 49ers and Seahawks. That's at FanDuel, FanDuel.com. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, it's time for our Tuesday tweets, so let's check it out. I'm going to put it on screen, going to describe it as best I can. If you're one of our audio-only listeners on the podcast, podcasts are everywhere, audio, video. Here we go, full screen. Let's check it out. And we will start it out with at the Hoosier Network, the big number 18 with the AP Top 25 logo and the Hoosiers on top of it. That's right. The Indiana Hoosiers in the 18th spot. A lot of teams in the top 25 and crowding out the top four, 3 of the top 4. We'll look at that in a minute. At college football on Fox. And just like that, we have 12 undefeated teams remaining, it says. Undefeated team. I see IU in there. Penn State. Oregon. Pretty good. Ohio State. How about that? Army and Navy. Do you see that? Army and Navy still undefeated among the teams. That's incredible. All right, this one I like. It's at college football on Fox. Teams with the best chance at making the playoffs. According to ESPN, they put them in a computer and spit them out. They've got 20 teams on here. Ohio State is first. According to this, a 92% chance of making the 12-team playoff. Ohio State has the best chance in the country of making the playoffs. Got Texas next at 91, and Miami and Georgia rounding out the top 4, Alabama 5. Oregon at 6 at 66%. Penn State right there at 7 at 63%. And look at that at number 9. The computers are spitting this out now. The Indiana Hoosiers have a 52% chance of making the 12-team college football playoff, according to the analysis. How about that? That means they have a greater chance of making it than not making it. Indiana. Who knew? Let's see here. And that's it for all the Big Ten teams. No Michigan on this list. No Southern Cal on this list. No Nebraska or Iowa. Rutgers. All right, that's the list. The list is the list. Here's from at UW football, Washington Huskies. They wanted to point this out. This was the ESPN game day set. Got 6 people on the set. They're all making their predictions. 5 of them have picked Michigan. You know what? We didn't here at Lockdown Big Ten. We picked Washington to win. Guess who won? Washington. Here's at college football on Fox. Big Nebraska Cornhusker logo. The only team that has not allowed any rushing touchdowns this season. I didn't realize this till I pulled this tweet. I knew it was low. I knew the defense was amazing. I knew they didn't give up any rushing touchdowns to Rutgers in a 14-7 game last week. Teams with 0 rushing touchdowns allowed. Good job by the defense there for the Huskers. Here's from at Big Ten Network. Already looking forward to this Week 7 matchup between Ohio State and Oregon. And nice logos. Ohio State 5-0, Oregon 5-0, ready to go. We can't wait. Again, we're going live after that game right here on Locked On Big Ten on YouTube. Here's some more from at Big Ten football, some Big Ten history. It's got Ohio State at number 2 and Oregon at number 3 and Penn State at number 4. Big Ten in the AP poll, it says the number 2 Ohio State, number 3 Oregon, and number 4 Penn State marks the first time the Big Ten has ever had 3 teams ranked in the AP top 4. You know, it was only a few weeks ago that 6 of the top 7 spots belonged to the SEC. Now where are they? Big Ten's taking over. If you're an SEC fan, take that. Here's from at University of Michigan football. Says the time is set, and got a Michigan player with Michigan and Illinois logo over it, and they will play October 19th, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, CBS. The 100th meeting. By the way, Illinois for that game is going to have 3D painted helmets to make them look like leather helmets. I think that will be cool. Here's from at the real Don Thomas. Again, Michigan fans are upset they got the loss, but not Don. It is a picture of Braylon Edwards holding up the national championship with the confetti flying down from last January. It says, I do not know who needs to hear this, but Michigan is the national champion of college football until January 21st, 2025 at the earliest. Please feel free to address them as such. Enjoy your day. #GoBlue. They're still the champions until they're not, even if it doesn't look so good at the moment. Here's from that College Football Report. This is the Heisman ladder following week 6. Ashton Jeanty at number 1. This running back at Boise State is incredible. Incredible. Travis Hunter at Colorado at number 2. Cam Ward at number 3. Jalen Milroe 4. Back to Colorado for Shedeur Sanders at number 5. Cade Klubnik from Clemson at number 6. Carson Beck at Georgia at 7. There we go. Finally, a Big Ten player. Dylan Gabriel, quarterback at Oregon at number 8. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss at 9. And Quinn Ewers rounding out the top 10. Pretty good list. Here's another list. College football on Fox, the week 7 AP top 25 here. We were alluding to this earlier. So we told you about the top, where the Big Ten has 3 of the first 4 spots. Texas 1, then Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Georgia rounding out the top 5. As far as other Big Ten teams go, I mentioned Indiana at number 18. And then a little crowd toward the back, we got Illinois at 23, Michigan at 24. I do know, and by the way, SMU, start paying attention to them. They score a lot of points. They're at 25. Starting at 26, or basically others receiving votes. You got Southern Cal, you got Nebraska, Iowa, Washington, all of the others receiving votes. There's like 10 teams that are either ranked or right there from the Big Ten. So it's a pretty good list. All right, that's it. Okay. Let's look at the old ratings. Tuesday tweets. Send me a tweet at Twitter at Talk Big Ten, number 10. Also comments on YouTube. We always appreciate those if you want to send them as well. And don't forget our website. You see the crawl on the bottom if you're watching on video, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there. We put them there chronologically and also group them by team, since we spent a lot of time talking about Michigan in the beginning. This will go under the old Michigan file. And while you're there, get yourself a new hat, t-shirt, or pennant, or something to support your favorite college football team of the Big Ten. Right there, we actually have a link for all the merchandise to all your schools to make it nice and convenient. So you can get that there, talkbig10.com. While you're there, check out another podcast, get caught up from the weekend or whatever last week. We do them every single day out here. And in the meantime, also invite you to subscribe and follow and share this right here, Locked On Big Ten, the latest episode. You'll get it every day as soon as it's available. When you're done here, check out a second listen with our friends Spencer McLaughlin and Locked On College Football. He's out there every day covering the whole gamut on and off the field. Locked On College Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. That'll do it for us here today. Another fun show. Can't wait to get at tomorrow. We're going to start looking ahead tomorrow. Tell all your friends, Ohio State, Oregon. Going to focus on that game coming up. Hope you enjoy that. Hope you join us then. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.